CapCut is arguably the best video editor for its seamless work with TikTok. So if you've seen videos going viral on TikTok, many of them are actually using the filters and effects that you can find in CapCut. But you can use CapCut for many different types of video projects because it's very flexible and easy to use. So the app is hugely popular. I'm going to show you how to make the most of the cool tools, features and effects that you can find in this app.
So here we are in CapCut. And I'm currently using an iPad for this tutorial because it has a much bigger screen, but the process is going to be the same on both iOS and Android. Like other video editing apps, CapCut is a software program that allows users to create and edit digital videos on their devices like smartphones or computers. There's CapCut for your iPhone, for Android, for computers on Mac and Windows, and as well, you can even use it online using a web browser. So that makes this a highly versatile editing program. CapCut provides a variety of tools and features that help users to cut, crop, trim, add effects, and enhance their videos. You can import your video footage into a project, either from your camera roll or external device. Once the footage is in the app, you can begin to edit it by using the tools provided. And these may include basic tools like trimming and cropping, or more advanced tools such as color correction and sound mixing. For example, you can use the trimming tool to cut out unwanted parts of the video, or use the cropping tool to change the aspect ratio of the video. You can also add text, transitions, and other effects to make your video more visually interesting. CapCut allows you to take raw footage and turn it into a polished and professional-looking video. When you're finished, you can share it on various platforms such as YouTube, Instagram, and of course, TikTok. When you open CapCut, you have the big blue New Project button. Above that is a row of buttons you can use to access other features. Camera allows you to record videos via your device's camera using pretty much the same interface as TikTok. You've also got captions for adding captions, retouch for adding beauty mode style effects to a person's face, auto cut for editing a video using AI, and prompter, which scrolls text which you can read while talking to camera. For now, we're just going to look at the video editing features. Tap on New Project and then select one or more video clips from your media library. For now, I'm just going to pick 3 clips to get started. Notice the numbers as you select the clips. This is the order that they will be arranged in the timeline. As well, the project will be set up based on the first clip that you choose. Now we have the main CapCut interface. Clip number 1 is at the front, followed by 2, and then 3. As clip number 1 was in horizontal format, the project is now horizontal. But if we look at clip 2, we can see this clip is vertical, but on a horizontal timeline. If I'd put this vertical clip first, I would have got a vertical timeline. If you want to change the aspect ratio of the project, go to the ratio option at the bottom and choose from different types of ratios. There are various options here: portrait video for TikTok, widescreen for YouTube, or a square format for Instagram. In this case, I'll keep the widescreen format, which is 16:9. Note that you can come back and export different formats for different platforms. So in the middle, we have the preview screen. To play the video, tap the play button below the screen, which is triangle shaped. Tap again to pause. When you play the video, you will see the timeline move along below. The white line is the playhead, and this shows the current position in the video. Swipe on this timeline to move backwards and forwards along the timeline. The position of the playhead in minutes and seconds is displayed on the left below the preview screen. So the number on the left is the position of the playhead, on the right is the total duration of the whole video. Below we have a row of buttons to access various features that we're going to come to later. On the right of the screen are the undo and redo buttons. If you want to undo something, just tap the left one. If you want to redo it again, tap the right one. Beside those buttons is a button to switch to full screen mode. Now we can use the whole screen to preview the video. And this is useful if you want to watch your video and get a clearer view. Tap the button, bottom right, to return. If we want to add another clip, we just need to tap this white button with a plus sign on it. You can zoom in and out of the timeline by pinching on the timeline with 2 fingers. This doesn't change the edit, it just allows you to zoom in on a particular part of the timeline. On the left of the timeline, we have 2 more features. First one mutes the audio of all the videos on the timeline. The second one allows us to create a cover for the video, which is something that you would do if you were creating a video for TikTok. And finally, if we tap the white box between the video clips, we can add transitions. One of the great features of CapCut is all these cool preset transitions to choose from. And when you choose one, you get a brief preview. We'll come back to that. Now, to close any window, just tap on the screen away from the window. On the timeline, our 3 clips are lined up in a row. If we want to edit a clip, we can move the playhead over that clip and then tap Edit. Or we can simply tap on the clip itself. At the bottom, we now have a long row of buttons. There's so many buttons that they don't fit on the screen, but you can swipe left and right to access them. All these buttons allow you to edit and add effects to the selected clip. You can tell which clip is selected because it now has a white border and these 2 white handles at each end. Handles can be dragged left and right to make the clip shorter or longer. To trim a clip in CapCut, move the playhead to the place where you want to make the cut. Now tap the split button, which is on the very left of the menu. Now your clip is split into 2 clips and you can treat them as separate clips. So you can adjust the length, add effects, and so on. Let's say you had a clip here, which is a long take of you talking to camera, and you want to trim off the bad bits. First, you want to find the good bit. For example, you might want the clip to start as you start speaking, and you want to remove everything before that. Move the playhead to the moment where you start talking. Tap split. Now select the clip which contains all the unwanted stuff, and then you just tap the trash can shaped delete button, and the clip is now removed from the timeline. And the clip starts exactly where you want it to. The other way to do this is to drag the left handle to the point where you start talking. As you drag the handle, you can see where the playhead is in the preview window. We can also do this with the handle at the end of the clip. We might also want to remove bits from the middle of a clip. One way to do this is to move the playhead and make a cut. Then move the playhead to the end of the bad bit and make another cut. Now select the bad bit and delete as before. The 2 sections snap together, so it should now go from one good bit to another good bit. The other way is to make a cut at the end of the bad bit and then drag the handle to the left to remove it. So we would then go through the rest of the clip, placing cuts using the split button and then deleting all the bad bits. Finally, you will be left with a sequence of clips with all the bad bits removed. But what if they're not in the right order? All you do is tap and hold on a clip. The timeline now changes so that all the clips become blocks which are the same size. Now just drag the selected clip to the desired position in the timeline. What we have so far is a timeline of our main footage, or what we might call A-roll. And at some point, we might want to add B-roll, which is usually illustrative shots or images. To do this, first we need to deselect any clips. So just tap on the screen away from a clip. This returns the main menu at the bottom. Now tap the overlay button and then tap the add overlay button, which will open up your media sources. Here you can choose a video or photo and then tap the add button bottom right. You might get this loading message, which is just CapCut processing the clip for editing. In the preview screen, we can see the overlaid clip, with the clip below seen at the edges. On the timeline, the overlay clip actually appears underneath the main timeline track. So this might seem counterintuitive because in most other editing systems, the overlaid clips appear above. But I actually think it makes sense when you're editing on a mobile device because this way the main track is always at the top. However, when we deselect the overlay clip and then tap out of this add overlay menu, you're going to see the timeline change. And the overlay is now contained within this B-roll bubble. That's not its official name, but that's what I'm going to call it anyway. The length of the overlay is represented by a red line now. To open up the overlay timeline again, just tap that bubble. Each overlay clip you add will be represented by a new bubble. And this is CapCut's way of saving you screen space, so your mobile screen doesn't get cluttered with tracks of overlay. Oh, and by the way, you can also turn clips that are on the main track into overlay clips. Select the clip, swipe along the menu until you find the overlay button, tap that, and now the clip is shifted over onto the overlay track. The overlay clip acts like the other clips. Tap to select, slide the handles to trim, and you get the same edit menu at the bottom. Tap and drag to change the position of the overlay clip on the timeline. Use the 2-finger pinch to expand or shrink the overlay clip. You can also twist your fingers to rotate the clip. When you rotate a clip, you will see the rotation angle at the top. So maybe you want this overlay clip to fill the screen, or maybe you want to create a picture-in-picture effect. By the way, you can do exactly the same to the clips on the main timeline: expand, shrink, or rotate. So you can go along your timeline, adding and editing overlay clips or photos where you need them. But what if we want more than one overlay track? If you place the playhead over the first overlay clip, add overlay, and then add another clip, this new overlay clip is going to be placed in another track below the first overlay track. If I shrink it down, you can see I now have 3 layers of media, and we can also drag this overlay item onto a different track if we need to. Now when we go back to the main timeline, you will see we now have 2 B-roll bubbles. Move the playhead to the point where you want the title to appear and tap the text button. This opens up a menu of buttons for text. If we tap the Add Text button, that places a text box in the middle of the video and brings up the keyboard. So I'm just going to type tutorial here. Now above the keyboard there is a menu of options. We've got font, style, effects, animation and bubble. If we tap font, we can now choose a font from this list, and we can also import our own font. Style allows us to change the style of the text. So we can add an outline, change the color, add a drop shadow and plenty more. Effects allows us to add various styles and these kind of 3D effects to the text. So it's a little bit more adventurous here. Animation brings up a list of animations that we can add to the text. So usually we just use these to bring the text in and take it out again. And bubble gives us some preset speech bubble styles to choose from. Okay, tap the tick next to the text, and the text now appears as a clip on your timeline, like the overlay track. You can edit and move the text just like other overlay items. Slide the handles to trim, split, and drag to reposition. When we go back to the main menu, any text is represented by an orange line above the timeline. But this time there's no bubble. To edit text, select the text on the timeline to bring up the text options menu at the bottom. And this also brings up some tools in the corners of the text box on the screen. X deletes the text. Tap the pencil to change the text. Bottom left is the copy button, which creates a copy of the text on the next track. So this is useful if you've created some text in a style that you want to use throughout the video. Just copy, move the text to the new position, and then change the text of the title. And finally, we have the rotate and resize button. Tap and hold the button and then slide to resize or rotate the text. Tap and drag the middle of the text to move it to a different position in the frame. One of the characteristics of CapCut is the large amount of effects and different style options. And for text, there are many options for you to play around with to create all kinds of different looking text. To edit text style, in CapCut, move the timeline over the orange line which represents the text. Tap the text button, you'll now see the text box below the main timeline again. Tap it to select the text. You can also just tap the text in the preview window. In the menu below, tap the Style button. This opens up a variety of options. Here you can change the size and opacity of the text with the 2 sliders. If you tap the eyedropper button, you now get a circle in the preview window. Drag that around and the text will change color to whatever color is at the center of the circle. Tap the multicolored button beside it and you can choose a color using the color slider and swiping or tapping in the box. Now if you want a background to your text to help it to stand out, tap Canvas and then choose a color. You can also adjust the opacity of this background. As well, you can adjust the size of the box and the roundness of the corners. The 2 sliders at the bottom allow you to offset the position of the background box in relation to the text. So that gives you some design options. So now Effects brings up a list of different looks for your text. You can add a 3D look or add a glow to the text, for example. If you tap and hold on an effect, it will save to your favorites. And to remove it from favorites, just tap and hold it again. So this is how to add animation to text in CapCut. animation brings up a bunch of animations that you can apply. I really like how easy they are to apply, and you immediately see what they look like. I use Adobe Premiere Pro for editing, and by comparison, adding text animations is pretty clumsy and slow. Above the animations, you have 3 choices: in, out, or loop. Tap in, and any animation that you choose here will be applied to the start. Tap out, and any animation you choose here is going to be applied to the end. Tap loop, and any animation that you choose is going to keep looping around. Okay, so let's choose an animation for the start of the text. I'll choose pop up. Now I'll tap out and choose pop down. And at the bottom, you can see where the animation is applied at the start and the end of the text. There's a blue and a red line with arrows and markers. And you can now drag these markers to adjust the length of the animation. And as you drag it, you're going to see the duration of the animation in seconds. So this is half a second, 0.5 seconds. So I'm going to make it 1 second long, and then I'll do the same to the end animation so that they're both the same length. When you adjust the length, the animation will replay in the preview window so you can see how it's looking. If we exit this menu by deselecting the text on the timeline, we can now see these 2 white arrows. And these represent the animations that we just applied. So to add a text speech bubble in CapCut, we choose this last option, which is bubble. Tap that to access preset text styles, which also include some kind of background. And many of them are speech bubbles, but not actually all of them. These presets are probably going to look better without a background canvas added to the text. You might also have to change the color of the font so that it works with the bubble background color. So with bubbles, the size of the text is actually determined by how many words and letters you have in the bubble, and as well as how big the bubble is. So you can resize the bubble or change the amount of text, but you can't use the size slider under the Style tab. Another great feature in CapCut is the tracking feature for text. And this allows you to attach your text to an object in the frame and then have it move as if it's attached to the object. Tap to select some text on the timeline, swipe the menu to find the tracking button and tap it. This yellow circle appears, which marks the area where CapCut will attempt to track. So place the playhead where you want the tracking to begin. Move the circle over the object to be tracked so that the yellow dot in the middle is directly on the object. Now use these handles to resize the circle so that it covers the object and not too much else. We're basically telling CapCut what to track and what to ignore. Now tap the tracking button below, and CapCut is going to attempt to track the object. Play the video and see if your tracking has worked. If it doesn't work as well as you wanted, you can reset the tracking and try again. And maybe try to resize the circle. And some shots and some objects are going to work better than others. And you'll find that an object that contrasts with the background is going to be easier to track. And shots without too much camera movement or rapid movement work better as well. CapCut has a text template feature which allows you to use a preset text style. These templates contain quite complex design and animation, which would probably be impossible to achieve using the regular text editing features. Move the playhead to where you want the text to be. Tap text and then tap text template. Swipe to find a template that suits what you're looking for. Again, there's so many to choose from, and many of them are really useful. There's stuff for travel videos or lifestyle videos. You've got chapter titles. Then there's these tags which are just fun to use, or sometimes they're used for tech reviews. There's social media stuff and plenty of other stuff as well. So when you select a template, you're going to get a preview of what it looks like. So tap the text in the preview screen to edit the text. Tap the tick to return to the main timeline. Now you can just play the video to see how your text looks. And as usual, you can change its length, you can split it, and so on. So if you want to go back in and edit this text, just double tap on the text clip on the timeline or on the text in the preview screen. Transitions are styles and effects that take us from one clip to another clip. The most basic of all transitions is a simple cut. And this is of course the default transition of any editing system. But if we want something a bit more unusual, we can add an effect which takes us from one clip to the next. Common transitions are things like fades or dissolves, and these are used all the time. So you just find the edit point between the two clips where you want to place the transition. Make sure that both clips are not selected. If one is selected, you're not going to see this transition box. Just tap the transition box to open up a window containing loads of transitions. And you can swipe this menu bar to find transitions under different headings. And the ones that are currently popular are going to be under this trending tab. You can also swipe the row of transitions left and right to find more. Choose a transition just by tapping it. The transition is now shown in the preview window. Below is a slider to adjust the length of the transition. If you're happy with it, you can tap this tick in the bottom right. If you tap apply to all, this transition is now going to be applied to all the cuts on the timeline. There's all kinds of ways that you can add music to your CapCut videos. But here I'm just going to cover the simplest options. So back at the main menu, we can see below the video on the timeline, it says add audio. Tap here to open up the audio selector window. Alternatively, you can tap the audio button in the bottom menu. Now tap the sounds button. To add music, you can either search for a song or artist, or you can tap one of these albums and scroll through the list of songs on the album. Tap to download the music and preview it. Tap the plus button to add the music to your video. You can also add music from your device. Tap the folder button, choose from device, and CapCut is going to look in your device for audio files. Whatever it finds is going to appear as a list below. So I'm just going to pick a track from CapCut's library. The music file is now placed below the video and it will start at the position of the playhead. You can just tap and drag this audio file like with video and text files. So if I want the music to start at the beginning, I can just drag it and it's going to snap into that position.
Audio specialist comic.
Now the music is too loud and it's drowning out my voice. So to lower the volume, I can select the file by tapping it, tap volume, and then move the slider to bring the volume down.
Audio specialist Comica recently.
And every time you make an adjustment here, it replays from the beginning of the audio clip. And this makes it a bit easier to get the level right. If you want, you can add a fade in or fade out as well. Just tap the fade button and use the sliders to adjust the length of the fade. And there's various other effects you can use in the audio here as well. Some of these are for the spoken voice, like voice effects and reduce noise. So CapCut has tons of sound effects to download and use in your videos. They're generally these kind of fun effects for social media content. So they're great for TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and all that kind of stuff. As well, some of these effects can be added to transitions or camera movement to give more impact to your video. To add audio effects, tap audio and then tap the effects button. This works in a similar way to adding music. Swipe the menu of headings and choose a heading which fits the type of effect that you're looking for. Scroll through the list, tap to download and preview. Tap the plus button and the audio effect will be added to the timeline, below any other audio tracks that you might have. So in this case, it's now below the music I just added. Again, you can select, trim and drag the file to position it on the timeline. And once selected, you can adjust the audio level like you can with the other audio files. This is how to add a voiceover in CapCut. Tap audio and then tap the voiceover button. Position the playhead where you want to start your voiceover. Now there's two ways to record voiceover. The first way is just to tap the microphone button and you'll get a 3, 2, 1 countdown before the recording begins. And the second way is just to tap and hold the mic button. And now it will immediately start recording and it will keep recording until you take your finger off the button. Whichever way you choose, you'll now get a new audio file on the timeline containing your voiceover. This file is going to be placed below the video and any other audio files that you have. And now you can add effects. Tap voice effect, swipe and then choose an effect. And CapCut is now going to play back your voiceover with the added effect.
And now I'm recording just by tapping and holding.
And now I'm recording just by tapping and holding.
So you can keep choosing different effects and it will just keep previewing how it sounds each time you choose one. And you can also add these effects later. Just select the audio file on the timeline and tap voice effects. If you want to delete the voiceover you've just recorded, tap the back button, and this is going to delete the last voiceover you recorded. So again, these audio files can be trimmed, repositioned, split, and all the rest of it, just like with other files. CapCut has a feature which allows you to generate a speaking voice from text, and this feature even allows you to create a singing voice from text as well. Tap the text button and add some text as I showed you earlier. Next to Style on the Edit Text menu is a button called Text to Speech. So tap that, swipe, and tap to choose a voice. The voice will now read your text.
I can sing really well.
So if you choose one with vocalist in the name, it will sing your text along with a backing track.
I can sing really well. I can sing really well.
So that's pretty fun. Tap Apply to All if you want all your text files on the timeline to be converted to this voice. Tap the tick to finish. The voice audio now appears as a file on your timeline. And we can adjust the volume with the slider the same way we do for other audio files. One of CapCut's most powerful features is its ability to remove the background from an image or video clip. And there's various ways that you can go about this depending on the end result you're looking for. Select the clip that you want to remove the background from, swipe along the menu and tap the Cutout button. And you've now got 3 options for removing the background. The first option detects a person in the frame and automatically removes the background. The second option lets you paint your own mask by drawing on the video. And the third option is for removing green screen or blue screen. So obviously this requires that a green or blue screen was used when you were filming your clip. Let's look at the first option and tap Remove Background. CapCut now immediately sets to work removing the background as well as it can. The longer your clip, the longer this is going to take. So this is not perfect by any means, but it does a pretty good job. The background will now go black, and if we play it, we can see how it looks. We can also add an outline around the person in the video. Tap the Cutout Stroke button to bring up various options here. First, swipe and choose one of the preset options. Then you can use the color picker and sliders to customize it. Change the color of the outline, adjust the width, and you can bring down the opacity as well to reduce its visibility if you want to make the effect a little bit more subtle. Now that we've removed the background, we can add a background so that there's something there other than black. One way to do this would be to put this clip onto the overlay track and then put another clip or photo behind it. Another option is to go back to the main menu, swipe until you find Canvas and then tap that. So you now have 3 options. The color button just allows you to add a plain color background. The background button allows you to add a textured background. And finally, the blur button allows you to make the background blurred out. But we can't use that in this situation as we don't have a background. So I'm just going to add a textured background here. But what if you want to place a photo or a screenshot as background? Make sure the playhead is over the clip you just edited. Tap the white plus button and add an image from your media library. This photo will now appear beside the clip. Select the clip and move it to the overlay track as I showed you earlier. Drag this clip so that it's below the image you just added. You can now see the photo I just added in the background. Now I can use the pinch method to resize the foreground image if I want to. Select the overlay clip and pinch to shrink it, then move it to where you want it in the frame. So let's play the video and see how it looks. Okay, that's pretty cool. But what if we want to have this background image zoom in during the shot? Then we need to use keyframes. Select the image on the timeline track by tapping it. And by the way, this also works with video clips. Bring the playhead to the very start of the clip. Now tap the keyframe button, which is in the bottom right corner of the preview window. A keyframe is added, which appears as a red diamond on the clip or photo. Move the playhead to the end of the clip. Use the pinch method to expand the image. You will see that a second keyframe is automatically created. Now, if we play the clip, we can see the background image zooms in slowly. To delete a keyframe, tap on it and then tap the keyframe button, which should now have a minus sign next to it. So keyframes can be used to animate zooms or movement. Not just clips, you can also use it for text as well. You can make an image or text slide left, right, or even rotate. and keyframes can be applied as well to audio clips. So you could create a fade, for example. Move the playhead where you want the fade to begin, add a keyframe, move to where you want the fade to end. Open the volume slider and bring down the volume. And now you will see the second keyframe is added.
Our new wireless microphones.
CapCut has a stabilizer feature, so if you have wobbly footage, this app can smooth it out and make it more cinematic and professional looking. Well, I mean within reason. So anyway, select a clip and then swipe the menu at the bottom until you find the Stabilize button. Tap to bring up the Stabilize controls. It's very simple, you just have a slider which allows you to set the amount of stabilization you want to apply. To stabilize your footage, it needs to crop some of the image so that it has a safety zone to work with. And the higher you set this stabilization setting, the more it's going to crop into the image. Anyway, let's try maximum just to see what happens. And as soon as you set it, it starts working on your footage. Progress is indicated in the bottom left of the preview screen. And once it's finished, play the video and see what kind of results you get. One of the most important aspects of creating a powerful cinematic video is the music. Choosing the right music for your video is key to getting your message across, because the music often does 50% of the job. If you're trying to inspire people with your video, then make sure you pick inspiring music. If you're trying to energize people, choose energetic music, and so on. Using the right music is so essential, I often choose the music before I actually start editing the project, and sometimes before I even start shooting it. But if you're trying to create a punchy montage sequence, you really need to edit to the beat of the music. And the makers of CapCut know this, and that's why they've added a feature which makes it easier. So after you've added your music track, tap on the audio clip to select it. In the menu below, tap the Beats button. Now you have two choices. You can add the beat manually or let CapCut try to auto-detect the beat. And if your music has a clear rhythm, it should be able to do this no problem. Tap auto-detect and you will now get a row of yellow dots. Each dot represents a beat in the music. And notice that you have these two options below, beat 1 and beat 2. One is a faster beat than the other, so if you want fast cuts, then use the faster beat. Tap 1 to choose which beat you want to use. Go back to the main timeline, and you will see these yellow dots are marked on the music track. Now, when you slide a handle on a video clip, it's gonna snap to these yellow dots. So this makes editing to the beat of the music much easier. Otherwise you can find yourself spending ages trying to get your cuts exactly in the right place. So another essential aspect of professional looking video is grading your footage. If you're just using smartphone footage shot with a regular profile, then you might just need a few minor adjustments to boost the look a bit. But actually CapCut has plenty of options for altering the look of your video. There's two main ways to adjust the color of a video in CapCut. So the first one is when you adjust the color of an individual clip, while the second allows you to create an adjustment layer. And this layer can then be used to adjust more than one clip. So it kind of saves time. To adjust a single clip, tap on the clip to select it, and now you have two main choices, filters or adjust. Tap the filters button for presets which give your video a certain look. And there's loads to choose from, so just swipe along and try different looks until you find one that you think looks good. Alternatively, if you want to make manual adjustments, then choose adjust. You can tap the adjust button on the main menu, or you can actually just switch between filters and adjust at the top, here to the left of the menu. And of course you can combine the two. So let's add this filter and then tap adjust. And now we can adjust certain aspects of the image. So maybe we want to increase exposure a bit, and let's reduce the contrast a bit as well. The first thing a lot of beginners do when they grade their video is actually to increase the contrast. I used to do that as well because it immediately kind of looks more dramatic. But this can be a mistake because the blacks and the shadows then get totally crushed, and this can make your video look actually lower quality, especially as smartphones already add lots of contrast. Of course it does depend on the video clip, but watch as I reduce the contrast. We can actually see a bit more detail. However, it does now look a little bit washed out, so I will add a bit of saturation just to make it pop again. Okay, so that's one way of adding color grading. The other way is to create an adjustment layer. This time we deselect the video clip. And now tap filters in the main menu. So you can do all the same stuff here, switch between filters and adjust to get the look you want. But when we tap the done tick at the bottom, this now creates this adjustment layer. So you can now adjust the size of this layer and move it around like other elements on the timeline. And the color work that you have done on this layer will be applied to whatever video clip it's adjacent to. So if you want to use this look for the whole video, just stretch it to cover everything. Or maybe you want to use it on different clips. Just tap the copy button in the bottom menu and you'll now get a copy on the next track. So rather than go through each clip having to make the same changes over and over, you can now move this to another part of your edit, and it's a great time saver. And as well, this copy can be edited independently to the other layer. So if you want basically the same look, but slightly different, you can tap the polish button, which brings up all the controls again. As well, you can go back and readjust the original layer in the same way. So there are color filters known as LUTs, which transform the look of your video in a couple of clicks. In theory, they're kind of more sophisticated than a simple filter. Now you can add LUTs in CapCut, but you can only do this in the desktop version. So go to the adjustment tab and now tap import. Find your LUT and select it. So these are actually LUTs that I got when I signed up to Artlist, and they emulate looks from some famous movies. For example, this one is from the Joker. Import your LUT and it will now appear in this window with your other LUTs. Hover over a LUT and you'll see this plus sign. Tap that and it's going to add an adjustment layer to the timeline containing your LUT. So just stretch this out to cover the video clips to which you wish to apply the LUT. So now we have the Joker look on this clip, but my face does look a bit weird because the skin tones have been messed up by the LUT. In the window top right, now you can see the LUT is here and below is a switch. Toggle that on and now the LUT is removed from my face. But it does still look a bit ridiculous because now my face looks bright red. But I can just bring down the strength of the LUT until the effect is more subtle. You can also apply LUTs directly to a clip instead of using an adjustment layer. Select the clip, go to the same adjustment window on the right, find the LUT with the drop-down menu. Now the LUT is applied only to this clip and everything else works the same. You can now access CapCut's popular filter templates directly in the app. At the bottom there is now a Templates tab. Tap that to access a huge number of templates which allow you to add the type of filters and effects that you might know from TikTok, but these aren't exclusively for TikTok. You can use them for Reels and all kinds of other projects as well. The templates are organized under headings like trending. This one's for Valentine's Day. There's templates for Reels, for TikTok, and plenty more as well. So just select a template that you like the look of and follow the instructions. They're usually very quick and easy to use. Now, at the moment, this feature is only available for CapCut users in the USA, but it will be coming to Europe and other areas soon.
So if you want to learn more about editing, or indeed smartphone filmmaking in general, you can join us on Patreon, where I've got all kinds of video lessons that you can watch, books to download, things like LUTs and overlays, and I've just launched my 9-day smartphone filmmaking course for beginners, and it's all available for members on Patreon. So if you want to improve your skills, I'll see you there. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.